My name is Robert Henley. I'm 83 years old now. I'm recording this because there are things I never said out loud. Things I've carried so long they've become part of me. Like old scars you forget are there until the weather changes. I don't know who needs to hear this, maybe no one, maybe just me. But I want to tell you about a winter, about a woman named Eleanor, and about the moment I saw her with someone else. I met Eleanor in 1965. I was 22, she was 20. We were both working at a library in Providence, small, old building with creaky floors and dust that never quite settled. She had this way of tilting her head when she listened to you, like she was really hearing you, not just waiting for her turn to talk. I fell in love with her the first week. But I didn't tell her, not for a long time. I was careful, I was polite. I thought love was something you earned through patience, through being decent and present, and never asking for too much. So I waited. We became friends, close friends, the kind where you talk until the streetlights come on and you've lost track of time completely. She told me about her childhood in Maine, about her father who died when she was 12, about how she wanted to write poetry but was afraid it wasn't practical. I told her things I'd never told anyone, about my mother's drinking, about how I felt invisible most of my life. And I thought, this is it. This is what love looks like. Quiet, patient, building something slowly. I thought I had time. In the winter of 1967, everything changed. It was February, cold in a way that gets into your bones, the kind of cold where your breath hangs in the air and doesn't leave. Eleanor had been distant for a few weeks, not unkind, just elsewhere. I told myself she was busy, stressed, that I shouldn't press. One Saturday evening, I went to return a book she'd lent me. I thought maybe we could get coffee after. Maybe I'd finally tell her how I felt. I walked to her apartment building. It was snowing lightly, the kind of snow that makes everything quiet. And that's when I saw them. She was standing outside the front steps with a man I'd never seen before. He was tall, wore a navy coat, had his hands in his pockets, but his shoulders were relaxed, comfortable. Eleanor was laughing, not the polite laugh she gave strangers, the real one, the one I thought was just for me. He said something, she shook her head, still smiling. Then she reached up and adjusted his scarf. Just a small gesture, intimate. I stood there on the corner, holding her book, watching. I don't know how long I stayed, maybe a minute, maybe 5. Then he leaned down and kissed her. Not a long kiss, just enough. And she didn't pull away. I turned around, walked back the way I came. The snow kept falling. I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I just walked. When I got home, I put the book on my desk. I didn't return it for 3 months. I didn't ask her about him, not the next week, not the week after. I kept showing up to work, kept talking to her like nothing had changed, because in a way, nothing had. She'd never promised me anything. I'd never asked. But something inside me closed that night. I stopped lingering after our shifts, stopped suggesting coffee, stopped waiting for the right moment to tell her how I felt, because I'd already decided the answer. I told myself it was better this way, cleaner, that if I said nothing, I could keep her as a friend, that I wouldn't lose her completely. A few months later, she told me she was engaged. His name was David. He was a teacher, kind, she said, steady. She looked happy when she talked about him. I smiled, congratulated her, said I was glad she found someone good. And I meant it, or I thought I did. They married that fall. I went to the wedding. I stood in the back, watched her walk down the aisle in a simple white dress, watched David look at her like she was the only person in the room. And I thought maybe this was what I deserved, for waiting, for never speaking up. Eleanor and I stayed friends for a few more years, but it wasn't the same. She moved to Boston with David. I stayed in Providence. We wrote letters for a while. Then the letters slowed. Then they stopped. I met someone else eventually, a woman named Margaret. We got married in 1972, had 2 daughters. It was a good life, a quiet life, but I never forgot that winter. Margaret passed away 6 years ago, cancer. After she died, I started going through old boxes in the attic, things I hadn't looked at in decades. I found a letter Eleanor had written me in 1968, just after she'd moved to Boston. I don't know why I kept it. In the letter, she thanked me for being such a good friend, for listening to me, for making me feel seen. Then, near the end, she wrote something I'd forgotten. She said, "I used to wonder if you felt the same way I did, but you never said anything, so I thought maybe I imagined it." I read that line 3 times. Then I put the letter down. I don't know if she loved me. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but she wondered, and I never gave her an answer. I think about that a lot now, not in an obsessive way, just quietly, the way you think about a road you didn't take. I wonder what would have happened if I said something that night, before I saw her with David, or even after. What if I'd been honest? What if I risked it? But I didn't. I chose safety. I chose silence, and I lost her anyway. Margaret was a wonderful woman. I loved her. I truly did. But there's a part of me that wonders if I married her because I was tired of waiting, tired of wanting something I thought I couldn't have. I don't think that's fair to Margaret, or to me, but late at night, when I can't sleep, the question comes back. Eleanor passed away 2 years ago. I found out through an old mutual friend. Heart attack, sudden. David had died a few years before her. She'd lived a full life, my friend said, taught high school English for 30 years, had 3 kids, grandchildren. I'm glad she was happy. But I'll never know what she thought that winter, if she saw me standing on the corner, if she waited for me to say something, if she ever wondered why I pulled away. I'm 83 now. I've lived a long time, seen a lot, lost more than I've kept, and I've learned that silence doesn't protect you. It just makes sure you'll never know. I don't think I was wrong to be careful, to be kind, to not force something that might not have been there. But I was wrong to assume I had time. I was wrong to think love was something you earned by waiting. Because here's the truth I wish I'd understood. Love isn't patient because it can afford to be. It's patient because it's terrified. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop being so careful. I don't know if Eleanor and I would have worked out. Maybe we would have been terrible together. Maybe it would have lasted 6 months. Or maybe it would have been